So if you can just tell us a little bit about your, did you grow up in that region? And also tell us a little bit about the language, because I hear Dolma asking the grandchild, do you know that language? They said, thodi thodi, the kind of thing. So this also tells us a side story about, what has been perhaps in the process of getting lost. I saw the film as like a mix of loss and bravery. I don't know whether you agree. You could just take us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm half Kinnauri from my father's side. I didn't grow up in Kinnaur, I grew up outside. And I think the film very much was sort of a journey of me returning back to my hometown and my culture and beginning to, I guess, understand what is it that I've lost because I have not been raised with any real connection to that part of my heritage. So the film really is kind of a questioning of that in a way. And it does have multiple languages which we use, which are based off of, I guess, what the reality is in the region. One, the dialect changes in different valleys, and it has two, I think, dominant languages. One is Hamska Kinnauri, which is, it's like the upper caste language, which is the language of Dolma's character. And the weaving communities and the woodworking communities of Kinnaur have a different language, which is Pahari Kinnauri. So the song that is sung is in Pahari Kinnauri because the grandmother is a weaver. But very much what we were also discovering is that the younger generations of the weaving community, the children are choosing to speak Hindi in order to break past these caste barriers, where the older generation would speak Pahari Kinnauri but also know Hamska Kinnauri to communicate with the upper caste. So there is this level where the grandmother is essentially speaking to Dolma in Kinnauri because that's the tradition in a way, that she would speak to her in the upper caste language. But her own niece, her own granddaughter doesn't speak Pahari Kinnauri or Kinnauri, she really just speaks Hindi. So they have to communicate across these caste and linguistic lines, essentially. So that's sort of what we were trying to also address in the film in a way.
Oh, amazing. I didn't even know that there was because, because I was confused. Yeah, and you're talking about, आपको ये भाषा आती है क्या, So I was just thinking, why is she asking it as if she's an outsider, Yeah, so thank you for clearing that. Yeah. It's amazing. I would like to bring in the producers here, and wow, amazing. Okay, and one of you worked as a sound person also.
I worked as a production designer.
Wow, I really need to ask you about the sound bit, because it all started with this very interesting sounds and natural sounds that the film, I think, catches. Even the crunching of that half-eaten apple, I saw. The walking, the saas lena, and rocks pe walk karna, and the cry of the baby. All these are all very natural sounds that we tend to, when we are, हम तो पहाड़ों पे जाते हैं, वॉक कर रहे हैं, इसको इतना सोचते नहीं हैं. ये जो नेचर के साउंड है, then there is the man-made sound. आप वो पैर काट रहे हैं, उसका एक आवाज and all that. For me, it was resonated was also that the sound. You can just tell us a little bit, all of you, any one of you want to choose to talk about that.
Okay. The sound designer is from Bombay. She's originally from. She's from the northeast as well, actually, and she brought a lot of that nuance in because because the songs and the folk songs are so integral to the Kinnauri culture because that's how they pass their stories.
I'll come to that.
Yeah, so it was really integral part of the film as well. And I think what essentially Niharika also wanted to do with the sound team was to kind of, because it's their culture, while they walk, they sing. So all their paths, wherever they go, there's always a song they sing. And I think the idea was to kind of juxtapose that with the modern sound and how that and what that break is, or what that changes, which is why the more metallic sounds kind of, even in the opening, if there is a folk song going on, but then there's also this static which is there, and I think that's something that we also wanted to play with in terms of the sound design, and of course to kind of immerse yourself in Dolma's state of mind also while she's going away from, you know, this construction to this place called Kandar, which is actually an abandoned village in reality. And it was actually displaced because of landslide. And that's where we shot the film. There are very few people who live there, and the idea was to kind of show that distinction between, because even in Kinnaur right now you see cement houses. So there is that construction. It's pretty much like Bombay and Delhi. Sometimes you feel like, yeah, it's probably the city. But then when you go to a place like Kinnaur, which is still so native and grounded, you can hear the stream, you can hear the wind, you can hear the leaves rustle. We wanted to stay with that because we wanted to stay with the character.
Actually, I think the sonic world was really important because we were also working with this idea of an oral culture and how the way of remembering and the passing on of knowledge is an oral form and not a written form. So it was really important to see what are the textures of orality that make up this sort of, the cosmology of this tribe and the location. And of course it is the sounds of nature, and because there are places in the valley that are so quiet that you can really hear your own breath when you're there. But they're being intercepted by the sound of construction and drilling and bomb blasts and landslides. And so it's sort of this idea of how do those two things perhaps sit together and weave into like the larger fabric of what is the contemporary reality of the space. And I guess ultimately to your question of loss and hope, it is a hopeful film in the sense that I think what the film is also saying is that the community has always been an advanced community in terms of technology, because I think folk songs are sort of an indigenous technology to pass on knowledge. And so the internet and WhatsApp and electricity is not alien in a way. It's very much a part of this way of continuing to propagate your culture and preserve it and find a way to use it to help, So I think the film is hopeful in the sense that the characters ultimately are doing what the people are doing, is that they're using technology and WhatsApp as a way to preserve culture and document it and raise awareness and sort of be really activists about the issues that are happening in the region. So we really wanted to, I guess, represent these two ideas that, because often there's this sense that if you are an indigenous culture, somehow you're primitive and technology is something from the future. But I think I wanted to say that it's not from the future, because indigenous cultures are actually very advanced, and it's really just reframing this idea, because for them they don't see themselves through the lens of an outsider, and in the way that they exist and continue to progress, this is all a part of the continuum in a sense.
Amazing. Yeah, right. Actually, I was just thinking about the Dolma cutting that umbilical cord, and then the song running almost as an umbilical cord throughout this song. It's almost like kind of pathfinder. Fabulously done, and such a beautiful song. I think I'm going to watch the film again. I have the link, by the way, to watching it for that song. It's amazing, because it's not just a song, it's also, because I come from the Northeast, I know that these songs are also knowledge base.
You have to teach them like the vocabulary of filmmaking. They already knew not to look at the camera. When it cuts, it's a stop. When do we say start and when to move forward? So I think we had an incredible time working with them. Even though it was, it had its challenges, but they were surprisingly amazing. I don't know if you want to.
How long did it take to make the film?
We were there for about a month or so, and then 1.5 months. We went in early because we wanted to kind of soak in the space, also because not the rest of the crew. I was also doing production design.
Can you tell us a little bit experience about, was it your first time in Kinnaur?
For me, it was my first time in Kinnaur. These people had been going there a couple of times, and then It was also a green production, so we didn't want to take many people to Kinnaur. So it was essentially only about 6 people that went, and everyone else we hired locally. And Kinnaur doesn't have really a film industry. So you just kind of hire people and like with whatever skills they have, and then they help you. Like the woodworking, from the woodworking community, there's somebody who works and does artisanal work for the temples. So they came in and helped us create the palanquin and all of those things. Iti, who's playing the young child in the film, her mother is the local tailor. She stitched all the clothes. So this is how it was. The village kind of came together to make the film, and because we spent some time with them, I think it's also Niharika's process of like working with like non-actors. It was so, I think it's kind of like a play. So people just kind of come along and then they're playing with you. It's like you're playing a game and they're all excited, and they don't care about everything else that's happening in the background. So I think in that sense we had a great time. And yeah, there was a lot of walking involved. It's just like around.
There is also one challenge which, from film perspective, especially when Dolma is doing that midwife actual child thing. So, what kind of light or how challenging it was to do light work, or was it natural?
We didn't
take any.
Just had 2 tube lights.
We had 3 LED strips.
LED strips,
They were
yeah.
just small, and everything else was natural light or fire. And
Fire was beautifully captured.
So I think we decided to what Varsha was saying, that we wanted to have a very small footprint in the region. And that means not taking, light equipment and grips and trolleys and all of the, the paraphernalia that goes with filmmaking sometimes. And so it was just, and I think we also felt that would be helpful to get the performers feel comfortable, because the more you start to have lights and people looking at them, I think it increases their consciousness in a way. So we just tried to do whatever we thought would help them feel as at home. So the spaces are spaces that they're familiar with. There are, like the bonfire scene is in the main temple, and that tree is like a sacred tree behind the grandmother. So we tried to also find locations that they were very comfortable with and had some meaning attached to them in a way.
Yeah, and we also had like really wonderful partners on board, community partners on board, like Zetels. A line producer is actually like an activist there who's also a cultural leader. He's quite well known because he's basically fighting against a lot of the hydropower projects that are happening in Kinnaur right now. But he also works with waste management, and we were all kind of aware of the amount of trash film productions do, which we did not want to do in a place like Kinnaur. So it was a very conscious decision of going in with that mindset, and then everyone else kind of just pulled, their skills and everything. Water, for example, there you don't get Bisleri water, there's spring water. So we didn't have any plastic on set. People just drank natural water, yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I'm going to come to you. I just wanted to, because this is your debut film. Okay, so what next? Where are you going to? Is it being shown elsewhere? It's already shown in Los Angeles, isn't it?
Yeah, the film premiered at the Indian Film Festival of Los Angeles in LA, and we also did a micro cinema screening there at a local theater place. And I think this was like our first India screening in a way. And
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think we're very much going with the same spirit with which we made the film. That it's very much a community-centered film, and it's about conversations that we can have perhaps through this film for people that it would be valuable for. So there is of course the usual sort of festival strategy, that we continue to explore, but our main focus really has been to do the community screenings of the film So after today, we have a screening at Allianz Français here tomorrow, and then we essentially go up to Kinnaur for our first round of community screenings.
That's what I wanted to ask. I mean, shown it to
Yeah, so we're going to show it at my village where we shot the film in Sumra in Himachal, and then we'll go over to Sangla Valley and do another screening, and we're also potentially screening it for a few schools in the region. And then I think, maybe we come back and do a screening in Bombay and see how we can continue to build the momentum with it.
That how...
Do you need this?
No, it's okay.
You can shop the young
Yeah.
man.
Thank you. But the question is for Niharika. Niharika, this is your story, and every story told demands an impact. And impact comes in case if you get the right audience. What is the audience that you look forward to put this in front of? I mean, I think everybody will know this, and then everybody will help you.
Different kinds of impact too, in terms of, I guess, impact in terms of representation in community. I think it's really essential that we show it to Kinnaur, and also if we're able to show it to more of the Himalayan kind of region and mountain communities where these sentiments might have more resonance. But I think, in that way we also want to create this kind of impact that I think representation and storytelling offers, where to see yourself represented for the first time in narrative film, I think really allows you to imagine other ways of telling your stories, and I think that to us is really essential. And which is why also we cast everybody from Kinnaur, because sometimes people might cast an actor from a different region because they can act, but it's really important for us that it was represented by the Kinnauris themselves. And I think the second level is really more of philanthropic or social and financial impact, which is or cultural impact essentially, because we are doing this fundraiser where you'll speak about it further, but we're trying to raise more money so we can essentially be able to document and archive a lot of the oral folk traditions and stories that are disappearing in the region. And there's such a diversity, because every village, almost every 3 villages, the dialect and the mythologies change. And so all of these things are in a way undocumented, and we want to do this fundraiser in a way to raise money so we can archive, preserve these stories in the hope that maybe more people from Kinnaur, the region, can start to tell these stories, and they can be passed on over generations. So I think anyone that can help us in that goal would really be an audience for impact.
TENFA fundraiser also, so if anybody wants to, I can identify with this and wants to contribute, can do it through the QR code, and I think some of these are on the seats, yeah, Nisha?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to say anything about it? Yeah.
My name is Isha Sen, and I work with Earthbound at Story Culture. It's the platform that helped produce and distribute the film TENFA. And at Earthbound and at Story Culture in general, we believe in doing storytelling for impact, and this is what TENFA was also about. And given that, we are launching the match the donation fundraiser, and so what that basically means is for every rupee that is donated by you all, the Mantra Foundation will help us double it. So it's almost doubling the impact, and the money goes towards preserving the ecology and the culture of the Himalayan region. So yeah, that's what the fundraiser is about.
Thank you, Isha. Thank you so much.
डोलमा सोचती है कि क्या ये बातचीत की तारें पेड़ों के कटने की आवाज़ें सुन सकती है.
Very nice line.
So the entire movie, including the dialogue, it was so uncomfortable at times, and it was so beautiful. Yeah, so honest, and we can only imagine the kind of research you guys are doing. Beautiful.
That's a compliment, yeah, absolutely. It's like, there's so much of loss and yet it ends with hope. and amazing, and using a bit of technology by the grandchild.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's amazing stuff that we got to see, and thank you so much for choosing Press Club of India to do your India screening. Amazing.
This film gives me goosebumps actually, because I lived in around 2 years ago. I went in the village in the Ladakh that is known as Tar village. I think you heard about it, not around 22 minutes walking from the Delhi. Yeah, there is a not known road. Then वहाँ पे जो मैं जिनके साथ रह रही हूँ ना, वो इनको मतलब मेरा जो एक्सपीरियंस है एक्चुअली तिब्बतन कल्चर जो है किन्नौर का बहुत सिमिलर है लाइक टू लद्दाख. तो मैं जिनके साथ में रह रही हूँ अभी, मैं जिनके अबल है मतलब दादाजी, तो वो दादाजी 95 ईयर्स ओल्ड है. और उन्होंने मतलब मैं इसकी एथनोबॉटिकल स्टडीज़ पे बुक लिख रही हूँ, तो उन्होंने मुझे जो प्लांट्स के बारे में मैंने जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स किए हैं, उन्होंने जो चीज़ें बताई हैं ना, तो वो एकदम से 2 साल के बाद जो चीज़ मैं बुक में नहीं लिख पा रही थी, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है वो एक बहुत अच्छा सा मुझे मीडिया मिल गया है. मतलब मैंने नहीं सोचा था कि इस पर भी मूवी बन सकती है. एकदम से रिमाइंडर हो गया मेरे लिए. और स्पेशली थैंक्स आई थिंक मेरा फ्रेंड मूवी जा चुका है उसको कि मैं दिल्ली में परसों ही आई हूँ, और मुझे था कि यार पता नहीं क्यों कॉन्फिडेंस मिसिंग लग रहा है, क्योंकि 2 साल के बाद एकदम से लग रहा है कहाँ आ गया. तो ये मूवी सबसे पहले लास्ट में उसको थैंक्स कहूँगी कि ऐसी मूवी जो मुझे लग रहा है कि एक बार जाके किन्नौर भी देखना चाहिए. लद्दाख के बाद लग रहा है किन्नौर भी जाना पड़ेगा.
Thank you.
It's an oral language entirely, but we wanted to find some sort of a script that was not Hindi or English in order to, in some way, I guess, find the title of the film and also the credits and the other sequences. So I think Asabi can actually speak to it because we worked with a expert in that particular.
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, also what I've heard is that people in Kinnaur earlier could read Tangri, but now they can't anymore, if I'm pronouncing it right. But yeah, there's a person who's actually, specifically, there are very few people right now in Himachal or in the country who can actually, who knows the script and knows the language as well. So there was a very specific person. Of course, a lot of the people that we found on this film were really like, we found them because of, I think, the need. But there was such unique, people who are working on such unique things with preserving certain scripts and languages because they are kind of, dying. And there was a person who writes in Tangri and even the other language, Pahari Kinnauri as well. So he actually helped us in translating all the English into Tangri. Obviously, there were a few characters which did not have the similar, but yeah, he figured out how to write even it in a sentence, which will make sense if you read it in Tangri, yeah.
Oh, amazing. This is
This-
like
Yeah.
No, whatever it is written, you will read it tenfold.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we confirmed with the.
We had a lot of experts on this film.
Yeah.
We had a lot of experts.
Yeah.
Tall that looks like half. Okay, so it's amazing.
When
Yeah.
I read that, poster, so it was like, it's who or it's like, that.
Unlearning is required there.
But I was so used to the Devanagari script that there are so many other characters and languages that also exist, I guess.
But the incredible experts that have helped us, from researchers to
Yeah.
people who've been doing this longer than we were born. I think all their list is like all their names are on the credit
Yeah.
list. Like if ever anyone wants to find them, we are happy to share
Yeah.
their names.
Great archive.
It's great documentation.
Yeah.
It's great preservation. I think multiple level film works for so many of us. Thank you, the TENFA team. Thank you.
May I ask just one
Yes,
last
yes,
thing?
yes.
Because as you started and then you gave us information that this is from your native village, so one can understand your emotions and need to tell the world about this story. But how did you convince your partners and how they
We're not
you
easy, they're
got
easy to
together
do.
that yes, one can make the film?
No, so see, the thing is, me and Asabri also run a film production company. We are a trans-led film production company. A lot of the work we do is around impact, and a lot of work that we do is around telling stories with people who are telling stories about themselves and their own people. So to us, authorship matters a lot. Who is telling the story matters a lot. How the story is being told matters a lot. And Niharika is a long-time friend and a long-time collaborator. So, you know, in that sense, Asabri and Niharika have worked together for a really long time. So it was like, it's not even something you have to really.
I mean, we had to convince Story Culture they gave us the grant.
Yeah. It's usually like, can we get the money to make it? And then we go and we do it.
Yeah, because it is not easy to get funds for such story.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I think we're grateful for Story Culture because I think they are really creating spaces for there to be funding for stories that aren't really, about the commerce of it, but more about either social impact or underserved regions or finding more innovative ways of funding the film, but also then thinking about how to engage communities. So doing this community screening strategy also has always been a part of the original idea. So I think we're grateful for that and hope, there continue to be more people like Story Culture in the space so more stories can emerge.
What was the budget like, may I ask?
I mean the grant is public. We got 20 lakhs all in to make the film, which actually is not a lot because of how far and
Just the travel and like all of that itself is like a lot.
And there's one last question. I'm a science journalist. You're talking about the herb. Is it known to the outside world, or is it either a fiction, or is there really a herb that stops dealing with it, the modern science, or other people can use it? As a journalist, science journalist, I'd like to know that.
Yeah, I mean, we again had a consultant on it called Preeti Sarayan from the community, who's a botanist and a researcher. And there were actually multiple plant names that I could give you. There's found out. But the one that we used was Salapanja, which is the root of this plant. It's kind of like a claw. That's why it's called a panja. And that, when it's grounded with some other herbs, does stop internal bleeding. But there are a few other of these herbs that do that. I think for the purpose of this film, we needed to find something that was also flowering in the season that we made it, which was October, November, which is past flowering season. So we changed our idea from a flower to a root. So that's why the film sort of depicts the root of the actual Salampanja.
Yeah, so the root is the actual thing, the flower on top is just something we picked because it was available and looked right and we had to graft it together.
It's not the original.
Yeah, it's not the original.
It just reminds me of my family. We do have this root, which like people come home when they have jaundice. So that's the route they use to squeeze karke and all that. It's something that you have to, the drop has to go in first in the morning or something like that, and then all right. So, these things are still followed, I think, particularly in the hills and the mountains. These things because, this is the community heritage and, your whole understanding of the world, So, and living with nature. I really liked one thing that the grandma said, that when you take something from the hills, you give something back. That is what does it talk about? It talks about only the slow living and take the thing that you just, whatever you need from the nature and not more. And let it be there. So then the abundance there, and whenever you go and have it. So it's amazing, Thank you so much, and that's what I would like to repeat, that it works, the film works in multiple levels for multiple people, multiple audience, and I wish you the best. And I'm sure, मिलेंगे इसमें दोबारा दूसरी फिल्म पे, है ना? और इनको फंडिंग करके, okay, thank you.